what I did when I was asked to come and do this, I went and talked to several of my colleagues in the aviation industry at some of the airports and the maintenance shops around the area here. And I said, if you were going to talk to this group of people, what kind of advice would you give them? And that's where we're going right here. One of the first things you got to remember is you are probably going to have to start at the bottom and pay your dues. We all want to graduate and start making the big bucks right away. But they pointed out that that's probably not going to happen. You might get lucky and get that big airline job or something, but most of those airlines are looking for folks that have got regional experience working on older airplanes that make you work very hard before they bring you aboard. Some of you might get lucky though. Sometimes it's who you know, you get in, you get a good word from somebody, and you get that great opportunity. But most of us have to start at the bottom and work our way up. So do not be discouraged by that. Your time will come. One of the things they said that you might want to consider is working in general aviation for a while. Because in general aviation, you work on a variety of aircraft and you don't tend to specialize in, I'm going to work engines, or I'm going to work electronics, or I'm going to laboratories. I've actually heard that people actually specialize in laboratories. But anyway, don't think you want to go there. But on the general aviation side, you work on all kinds of aircraft and you work on all kinds of things. One day you might be working on an engine issue, the next day it might be an avionics issue, might be a hydraulics or whatever. If you worked on my airplane, it would probably be engine stuff. So they talk about that you might want to consider that if you're looking for some great experience. You get a couple of years under your belt doing that, and then you try to get into the regionals or you get to the bigger airlines and move on from there. But the key is, once you get there, what is your goal? What is your goal as an A&P? What is it you really want to do? I was just talking to a fellow today. His name is Brian. He started working on airplanes when he was 13 years old, and he got taken under somebody's wing, several people's wing, helping him from the time he was 13 all the way until now. He went to school, he got his A&P license early, and he got lucky. He knew somebody, one of those fellows that took him under his wing, that had worked at a major airline, in this case United Airlines, and got a good recommendation from several people, and as a matter of fact, two very strong people in that company. And he got hired right in 3 years ago. Today, he got an interview to move up and be the supervisor of his shift after only 3 years, because he has a goal. He set a goal for himself to try to learn. Now, will he get it? We don't know. You got to wait a few days to figure out, because a lot of people are being interviewed. But there's an example. He's only like 23 years old. So I'm telling you, set those goals and work your way up. And the sky is the limit. Who knows? Someday right here could be the VP of maintenance for a major airline. So, you know, it's not just about turning wrenches and getting your hands dirty. Think about things you want to do, improve your life, and then pass that on to the people behind you. Now, how do you be successful? Well, I'm sure at the school here, like many schools of this kind, they teach you about a lot of things other than fixing aircraft. They talk about showing up on time, being prepared for work. I'll give you an example of a work ethic that I really like. In my last job with L3 Communications, I ran a project over in Japan. And the workers I had were Japanese, of course. And the start time was 7:30. That's when you started work. And the quitting time was 5:30. They showed up at 7, and they did the grabbing and around and smoking the cigarettes and drinking the coffee and eating the fish heads and rice that they like to eat. And then at 7:30 though, as 7:30 came up, they all got their tools and everything, and they went to their positions where they were going to do the work. And at 7:30 they began working. And they worked all the way to a break. And they took a 15-minute break. And when they were done, they were back on the job at the end of that 15 minutes, ready to start again till lunch. Same thing happened. Then they take a 30-minute snooze. They tend to do that. But they all woke up at the same time to get back on the job. And they worked all the way to 5:30 Then they turn down, break down the tools, clean the tools, and they didn't get out of there until 6, sometimes 6:30 in the evening. That's the work ethic that your employers are looking for. I've had experience with some folks where 5:30 is when they leave, even though the work is still 5:30. So just think about that kind of stuff. So here's some things to help you be successful in life. Not only as an A&P or something in aviation, but as a person. And some of you may have heard some of these someplace else. The first thing is be proactive. Always consider what you're trying to do. Be proactive, don't be reactive. Think ahead and plan ahead. Try to anticipate what your employer wants, and anticipate what your family and your spouse or your significant other, whomever you happen to be with, what their interests are. But always be proactive. In that vein, you might want to think about what's the end result. So you think about beginning with the end in sight. Where do I go from here? What is it we're trying to do? What's the ultimate goal here? Think about things from that perspective. Then, put first things first. Prioritize. Prioritize your life. Prioritize your work. And don't try to get rid of the stuff that's extraneous out there. Focus on the main thing. One of the things I learned in the Marine Corps was keep the main thing the main thing. But the hard thing was figuring out what the main thing is. Once you figure it out, stay there. Stay out of the weeds and focus on what has to be done and move on. Always try to set up a situation where the options for you and whomever else you're working with are win-win. Always try to have a win-win situation, so you have to think about these things. And then understand the why, the what for of your job, the who and all that. And I'm just going to digress just for a moment and talk a little bit about an example that I learned. I got to go to UVA in an MBA program, and one of the things they taught us was this very concept of who are we, what are we. Taco Bell, a few years back in the 90s. Do you any remember the 90s? Some of you do. Taco Bell was a failing enterprise. It was owned by the PepsiCo company. And PepsiCo decided to spin it off, and they hired a guy to come in and run it and fix the program, or they were going to get rid of Taco Bell. And this gentleman came in, and he got all of his VPs together at an offsite. They went to like, what kind of a business are we? And almost everybody said, we are a Mexican food restaurant. That sounds reasonable, right? He said, we are not a Mexican food restaurant. We are a fast food restaurant that just happens to sell Mexican food. Once you understand what your business is, then you can tailor it to be successful. And he turned it around. We got the dog. Remember the dog on the commercials? That sold a lot of tacos. He just changed the way the business was. He changed the way we looked at the production of tacos, everything. He changed the way his people were paid, the way they were compensated in other ways. He gave managers the opportunity to sell tacos other places other than in the store. They stayed open until midnight, then they stayed open 24 hours. But he changed everything, and Taco Bell is now a thriving business. So it's very important in your business to understand who and what you are. So be thinking about that. That's especially when you become the VP for maintenance for Delta Airlines. The next thing is try to cooperate with people. It's very easy to be uncooperative, especially when they want to do something that you don't necessarily want to do, or they're putting demands on your section or your team. But remember what the big goal is. What are we trying to do here? We're trying to get this airplane fixed back out on the line so it can make money for the company so I can get paid. Keep it real short and simple like that. So you synergize your efforts with your team and with the teams that you have to work with. And the other thing is, like I said in the very beginning, continue your education. Continue your education. Keep learning, keep reading, keep studying, stay on top of technology, stay on top of techniques, stay on top of materials. Because out there we got a lot of plastic stuff coming out, all this new stuff, so you got to be very careful. And then I'll just leave you with this one final thought. Have a vision of greatness and a dedication to a high purpose. And if you do that, you will be very successful in your life. Thank you.
Colonel Darrett, thank you for sharing your words of wisdom with us. We have a small gift. A token of our appreciation for you. Thank you very much, sir. All right, ladies and gentlemen, next I'd like to introduce Scott Kenny, our Director of Education.
Wow, I'm not sure how I'm going to follow that. He actually said every single thing that was in my original speech, so.
Thanks for sharing.
All right. Just to let you guys know, we at our school, and I am literally winging it right now. Everybody hear me in the back? I'm actually a very loud person. I do not need the microphone. I just want to give you guys an example of how their training actually is. Once these students come into our school, they are grounded down, so to say. They have to learn a completely new language, a language of aviation. They have to dedicate 1,920 hours of blood, sweat, and tears. And I literally mean that literally. I cannot tell you how many graduates, how many people during the first safety wire, how many people bled? Right, exactly. These students, they come in, some of them during the day shift, 7 o'clock in the morning. Class starts at 7:30. They're there until 2 o'clock, and then have to go to a job after everything's over. For the guys that are on night shift, they're going to the job first thing in the morning, and then having to get there by 5 and staying until 11:30 at night. It's not an easy job. It really, really isn't. If they miss time, what happens, guys? You got to make it up. And enough how proud I am of this graduating class. I've done a lot with these guys. I'm actually new to being the Director of Education, but I've been with this company for over 5 years now, and I have seen every single one of these students since they first started until they graduated. And I honestly, guys, I cannot tell you how proud I am of being up here graduating you guys. Yes, we all had our disagreements.
Yes, no.
Yes, yes. But we also had a lot of good times too, I'm sure. One thing I'd like to do, can my faculty please come up here? Please.
Woo-hoo! Woo-hoo!
These are the people that taught these students here day in and day out. Guys, you did a wonderful job.